Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Like, Share, Follow. And this week I have Liam Bland, who, apart from being a USC grad, is a sports journalist with Seven West Media in Harvey Bay. Is that right, Liam?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Thank you for having me on, Karen.
No worries. And so, look, we were just discussing you graduate actually next month. So, and you were telling me you actually started working in this role in your final year of university.
Yeah, look, very excited to wrap it all up in a couple of weeks' time. It'll be good. But yeah, I started with Seven about 8 months ago, so about halfway through my second year.
Yeah, wow. And so you started around the time when COVID hit, you were saying. And so how did that impact you? So because you were studying as well as working in the field. So yeah, how did you manage all of that?
Well, I suppose COVID was in a way a bit of a blessing and a curse. In that because university went all online, I was able to
Yeah,
study from home, which for me is in Harvey Bay. And
yeah.
if that wasn't the case, I probably couldn't have taken the job with Seven when I was offered it. Um, it was tricky in that when I started, there wasn't a whole lot of sport happening, and I'm a sports journalist, so
Of
that
course.
little bit difficult, especially when I'm just sort of trying to learn the ropes. But I've persevered, and yeah, hopefully we're on the home stretch now, which is good.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. And so now you studied with me, you did a social media minor. So does that help you in your role as a journalist?
While I'm not necessarily creating content for social media as such, it definitely does play a big role in what I do day to day, particularly in finding stories and even contacting talent for stories. I might see that a football club put something up, an event that's happening, or one of their members might have done something really special, and that gets an idea ticking over in the brain. And yeah, even just simple things like finding contact details for different athletes and clubs. Social media is very handy for that. And of course, looking at just general sort of sports news across the platform as well from other outlets. So yeah, very important in that regard, and also to share and distribute my stories too, and reach an audience that way.
Excellent. And so tell me, what do you think set you apart from, say, I mean, you weren't even a graduate when you got the job, but I guess other people going for, because you would have been competing with other people going for the role that you have. So what do you think set you apart from those others?
Look, I think I throughout my university studies, any sort of extracurricular opportunity that was available, I'd try and grab it with both hands, and build a bit of a portfolio and a bit of a name for myself. And I think from doing that sort of thing and meeting people out in the field and building those relationships, you build a bit of a rapport, and I think that goes a long way. And when I sort of did a bit of a trial with Seven before I was offered the full time position, and I don't think I would have been offered that trial had it not been having that bit of experience under my belt already.
So give me some examples of some of the experience, extra sort of curricular stuff that you did to build that portfolio.
Sure, yes. So I wrote some articles for the Sunshine Coast Daily while I was studying, just sort of smaller sports articles that were published every now and then. But again, those were ideas and interviews that I'd go out and chase myself and source myself. Without sort of being told I had to do it for an assignment or because it was part of my studies. So that went a long way. And also I was fortunate enough through meeting a few people at council. We hosted the Brisbane Roar Football Club. They played a charity game here at the end of 2018, and I was the master of ceremony for that. And that was an awesome experience, especially for a soccer fan like myself. And
Yeah.
so little things like that, I think, all add up and go a long way into building a bit of confidence as well.
Excellent. And what's been some of the best career advice you've been given?
Look, I think some of the best advice I've been given was that it does get easier, and that might sound a little bit sort of morbid, I suppose, in a way. But when I first started with Seven, it was tricky, especially in that there wasn't a lot of sport happening. And the journalist who I was taking over from, who was moving to another market, said to me, it will be hard to start with, and it'll take a little bit of time until you find your feet. But you will find your feet, and it'll get easier, and you'll get into the swing of things a bit. And that's certainly been the case.
Excellent. And so tell me, what's some of the things you learned at university that you think have been really useful to you in your current role?
Look, I think it's something that across all different degrees and your courses, time management really is key. I mean, at university there are deadlines, and deadlines are something that I deal with now multiple times a day, every day.
Yeah.
And so I think building a bit of a work ethic and knowing to stick to deadlines and to push yourself and be able to manage your time has been very important for my current position, for sure.
And what has been something that, since you've been out working, you wish you'd learned at university that you weren't taught?
Look, I think one of the biggest things that I've found in my position that perhaps wasn't touched on that much at uni was the importance of interpersonal communication skills. And it's something that can be a little bit tricky to teach in a classroom, I understand, but every day I'm asking people to share with me their stories and their experiences and to open up to me. And for people to do that, and to do that in a way that, they give you the best of the best stuff, really, you need to develop a relationship and trust and be able to communicate with each other freely and openly. And I think, even in just the way that you speak to people and you greet them and address them, and whether it be via text message or email or even over the phone, if you can build a degree of trust and make sure that you're both sort of on the same page, that goes a long way. And that's probably something that wasn't quite as focused on in university.
Yeah, no, and that's a really good point. So talking now about social media again. What's something that you've learned, or a tool or a hack or something that you've picked up in the last couple of weeks that you would like to share, like something you found interesting?
Something I've learned, well, I suppose one of the obvious ones is, over the past sort of month or so, the news blackout on Facebook. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, obviously, being working in media and working in social media, we both sort of understand the role that it plays in delivering news and information. But I think even just seeing for the general public, who a lot of the time consuming the news off Facebook is, not even a passing thought. It's just something that happens. When it suddenly wasn't there and wasn't available, and seeing the outcry, I suppose, in a way, that was quite eye opening. In that, I think people really sort of started to understand just how big a role these social media platforms do play in informing.
Yeah, and so how did that affect you? Did it affect you much? I mean, you would have just kept producing for TV and things like that, but what actually did it affect you? Did you have to change anything that you did?
I mean, luckily we were still able to upload to different platforms like Twitter and even YouTube, I think, as well. And our social media team did keep uploading to Facebook, which now means that our stories are being shown from that period, which they initially weren't, which is good. Um, it did make it a little bit tricky, even in the way that a lot of the time people are busy. They can't necessarily sit down and watch the news when it goes to air live. And I had people call me and text me and ask, "Oh, can you flick me the Facebook link to the story I was in?" And I just say, "Oh my God, actually." So
Ask Facebook.
even just little things like that, it just proves a bit of an inconvenience. But I mean, we use social media. We look at what's getting likes and what's generating comments and that sort of thing as well. And they can even, someone's comment on a post or on a story may even facilitate a story idea for the next week and that sort of thing. So to have that sort of stripped back was a little bit tougher as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and it's a different perspective. And we had Gemma on last week, who manages social media for Queensland for Seven, and she was saying that she just kept posting, like she just pretended it wasn't happening and kept posting, and it actually worked out good, really well for her because all the posts were there. when the news ban was lifted.
Yeah, definitely lucky that was the case, and that they kept going with it, because, as you say, now it's as if it never happened, I suppose, in a way. But yeah.
Excellent. And tell me, what advice would you give to a student or an emerging professional about how to succeed in their career? Because clearly you're very successful. You were snapped up before you even graduated. So what? And apart from doing the extracurricular things, so what else would you tell them to help them to succeed?
Yeah, look, I think, as you say, that extracurricular stuff is a given. But aside from that, I think confidence and backing yourself is equally as important, and having the drive and sort of work ethic to match. Obviously, during my studies, we were told that isn't a changing profession, that you need to be able to adapt, and that there's less and less jobs, which is the case. But I think having the confidence in yourself to know that if you work hard at it, and that if you are good enough, there will be opportunities and there will be jobs. And so, yeah, I think anyone who's pursuing something that they're passionate about should try and make sure that that flame's still there, and that passion's still there, and that they back themselves and their ability to pursue that career.
That's great advice. And the next question is the most important one of the whole show: is who do you like, share, and follow?
Well, look, a lot of my Twitter feed, in particular, are made up of other journalists, of course, and that's how we sort of communicate to our audience and to each other quite often. Really, I think Ben Davis and Chris Gary, who are both state sport presenters for Seven, they do a terrific job on Twitter. Not just in sharing their stories and interesting insights from their interviews as well, but even just the way that they deliver breaking information and things like that so quickly, and the way they've sort of honed their craft is something that I really sort of aspire to. There's also a sports journalist in the UK. His name is Nizar Kinsella, and he's the Chelsea Football Club correspondent for a website called Goal.com. And what I really like about him is that he's everywhere. He's on different podcasts. He's on different YouTube channels. He's on TV interviews. He obviously writes for publications himself too. And I like to see his content. It's everywhere. And so that's definitely try and take a leaf out of his book.
Excellent. And I mean, maybe after this, you could even post some links or tag them in the comments so other people can follow them too.
Definitely, yep, can do.
That would be great. And so we're sort of at the end of the show now. But tell me, before we go, do you have any final words that you'd like to share? Some final pearls of wisdom to share with people watching?
Look, I think I'd probably just like to drill home on that point that if there's something you're passionate about, you can make a career out of it, and you can pursue it. I mean, most people like to talk about sport, and now I'm one of the lucky few who get paid to do that. So it just goes to show that if there's something that you really have a drive for, and you're really keen on, that if you work hard for it, then you never know what could happen.
Absolutely. Well done, and congratulations on your success. And I'll probably see you next month at graduation. So
looking forward to it.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Liam, for being on the show. And next week we have Rachel Tickner, who's the director of Rachel Elizabeth Consulting. So so we'll talk to Rachel next week. And thank you so much, and thanks everyone for watching. See you later.
Thanks.
Bye.